Hi everyone, welcome back to Ace FM podcast again. And this is episode 3. I'm going to be talking about exam stress today.
Yeah.
Obviously, important time for lots of students in the school at the moment, especially the higher education, because obviously exams are coming up, mocks are coming up. So we're just going to try and discuss, because obviously we've done our GCSEs already.
Yeah.
And we just want to kind of help people who haven't done them before or who are going into it, just give them a bit of advice on what we do and how they can deal with that stress, because obviously it's a big pressure. So
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure actually, and just to get those high grades and make sure you get into get onto the subjects you want to do as A level, or even get into the universities you want to get into.
Yeah, and I feel, especially this year, what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
We don't know if exams are actually going to happen at the end. Obviously, there's a lot. It's changing every day.
I guess that's what makes the mocks so much more important.
Yeah, they
because
do.
I think
Yeah.
if the exams don't go ahead, they're just going to rely on what we got in the mocks.
Yeah.
So we have to treat them like the final exam.
Yeah. So so we've got some frequently asked questions that a lot of the students even when we were students we
These were
asked
questions we were asking teachers
when we were doing GCSE. So we're going to just go through those. We've got our cameraman Fahad behind the camera, obviously, asking us the questions. So if you want to fire away. So.
Alright, so I'll just go straight into it then. The
Alright.
first one is, it's just basically a simple one. It's just, how should I revise?
Okay, do you want to go first? I'll let you.
I guess revising is different for everybody, right?
It is,
So everyone's going to have their own way of revising. For me, the easiest way to pick up the information is by writing it down and actually taking notes. So what I tend to do is write it down once, and then the notes I wrote down, I write them out again.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I process the information and kind of summarize it to as little words.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on, because obviously some people have really good photographic memories.
Yeah.
Some people have really good memories in other ways.
Yeah.
So it really depends on how you prefer to revise. I quite like watching videos on people who go through walkthroughs of different.
What was the one
subjects.
we used to watch for the GCSE science?
There was my GCSE science. That was the one that a lot of us did. And Primrose Kitten, do you remember
Primrose
that?
Kitten,
Yeah,
that was the one I used to like.
She was really good. I remember that GCSE right before the exam.
Yeah.
Just watch the video.
Last minute revision.
Yeah, but I wouldn't advise last minute revision for anyone.
No,
but
100%
sometimes you need it.
Yeah,
So
who does last minute revision?
no one does last minute revision. So yeah, so I think that's really our advice. You've got to just do whatever suits you. Some people like to make games. I know that a lot of around the school.
Yeah, flashcards and stuff.
Yeah,
as well.
flashcards, board games, that sort of thing. Because you want to have fun while revising, because it's quite tedious if you're just going to go.
I guess Kahoots was a really good way to do that.
Yeah. If you're just going to look at a book the whole time, it's quite boring.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why a lot of people get bored of revising and get put off it. So yeah, just find a way that suits you and try different ways out, I suppose. Yeah,
Exactly,
that's all.
yeah.
Alright, so the next one is, how do I know when I've revised enough? When I know I'm ready for the exam.
I guess you can never revise too much, right?
No.
But what you need to make sure you don't do is stress yourself even more by staying awake because sleep is very important, especially the day before an exam. So I think as long as you make sure you get your good night's sleep, and not work the whole night before the exam, that's probably the best advice I can give.
Yeah, I think in terms of that question, you've got to what am I trying to say here? You've got to have that idea. Everyone knows individually when they need to stop.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one for us to answer. I know
It's when you feel like you're just
it's when you feel on the verge of I feel once you know the stuff, there's no point of obviously go back over it, remind yourself, but don't stress yourself out on knowing one key thing, because obviously an exam you've got tons of things to cover. There's no point in going over one little detail many times. So.
And I don't know if it's the same with you, but sometimes there's periods of the day where you're just actually I want to revise now. I feel I need to revise.
Yeah,
so then you just go upstairs or you go into the office room or whatever, and you just smash out your revision.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll ask you this question actually. Do you revise better in school or at home? Because obviously in sixth form we had all the non-contact lessons.
For GCSEs, I revise better at home.
Yeah.
Because obviously GCSEs is completely different to
it is. Yeah.
A levels, but in A levels I actually revise better in school.
Okay.
Because I think the sixth form learning environment is made in such a way. For example, the learning hub, everything. you've got the areas to work in.
you
Wherever
do,
you feel
yeah.
comfortable, you go find yourself.
And you have
a
that
seat.
time as well to revise. Which
Yeah,
is
especially
really
when we
helpful.
have without freeze and last year we used to have directed studies
Yeah.
as well.
And I suppose as well, like we're forgetting, like GCSE is completely different to A level. Like
You have
A
so
level,
many
you've
more
got 3
subjects.
subjects, 4
Yeah.
subjects, some people, but you've got like much like wider content to learn on those little
Yeah.
things. But obviously GCSE, you have like 9 or
You
10,
have-
something
you
like
have
that.
a lot of
You have a
subjects.
lot anyway, yeah, which you need to cover. So it's a lot of pressure, and I think that's the biggest thing for GCSE. It's a lot of pressure for but we got through it, and now we reflect on it. Now we reflect on our A levels. We think obviously it's easy, but I think that's every step of life. Once you do one bit, you find the next step, like the step.
I think the
before
most
you
important thing about when you think about the amount of things you need to know for GCSEs as well, is just you need to be relaxed in the final thing, because it's so easy to stress out.
It is, yeah.
But as long as you remain calm, everything's fine.
Yeah, I think we'll go to the next question now.
Alright, so the next one is, how should I balance my revision with my lifestyle? So how do I continue my social life while revising?
Yeah, well, I suppose we answered that quite similarly with the last one, but just like make sure, because obviously it's important to have that social like interaction, not fully lock yourself away, just revising all day.
Yeah, because I think when people think of revision, they're like, okay, this weekend I'm just gonna revise.
Yeah.
That never works.
Never happens.
It never works. I think I've said it a million times as well, but it never works.
But
You need that self time. You need those breaks in between to either go eat, to go playing outside, or doing some form of exercise.
Yeah, exercise is. I found exercise to be really good because it's quite good for you, like mentally.
Mentally, yeah.
Yeah,
And
refreshing.
or even just chilling outside.
It is,
it's
yeah,
just that
yeah.
fresh air. I think it's really good for you. And then also like breaks and doing something you like. Like for example, I tend to play FIFA on the weekend.
Yeah.
That kind of and be like, okay, let me just do these few questions, then go have a couple of games on FIFA. And
I think that links to the plan of when you start revising, you should have some people have a plan, which I think is good, because then you can stick to that. You know what time you're revising, you know what time you're having your breaks.
I guess timetables works for some people, but for me, example, when I create a timetable, I never end up following the timetable.
Yeah, that's the only problem with timetables. It's very easy to go against them and just
because I think for me it makes me feel like I'm back in school, which is not what I want to be.
No, exactly.
I want it to be, okay, I'm revising when I feel like revising, but I'm gonna make sure I get these topics done today.
Yeah, I think that's important. So.
Yeah, alright. So the next one is, how can I deal with the pressure and the stress of exams? So it's a more general one.
Yeah, this is a big one, because obviously, I think
there's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure, yeah. And I don't think
especially
I don't think teachers always, coming from a student point of view, understand how
I don't think the teachers
much harder the tests are nowadays than when they took the test. It's a lot more stuff to learn. It's a lot more
it's a lot more pressure on the teachers as well.
And plus as well, obviously, depending on what stage you're at, A levels for us, university places are not they're not as free as they were in the past. So you've got to show that you can be that higher student. So obviously there's a lot of pressure, and I think that pressure comes from both within and externally. Yeah. So I think should we split those up and just talk about them separately?
So when you were doing your GCSEs, where were you getting the most pressure from? Was it the thought of I want to do these courses at A level and I need these grades to get to that course or the subject?
I think in terms of myself, it was just the pressure I gave myself. I've always kept. I think everyone keeps high standards of themselves and knows where they should be, and I think those it can be dangerous to raise your bar too high. But obviously, they say people say aspire as high as you can, but it can get dangerous, because then there's a point where if you don't achieve that, then you get really sad, obviously, that you feel like you've let yourself down.
And I guess it's important that you don't compare yourself to other people whilst you're going through the GCSEs.
Because it's really easy, because we've all gone outside exams and gone straight to your friend, straight to someone who's a similar ability to you, and gone,
what did you get
for this answer?
Exactly.
And obviously, as soon as more than one person says they got the answer that you didn't, then obviously that makes you feel like you got it wrong. Yeah. Even though on a lot of cases there's been where you actually get it right and then they got it wrong. So you've got to sort of just go in knowing your own ability, knowing your stuff. As long as you're prepared,
you can only do what you can.
Exactly.
If it's not your day, it's not your day.
Yeah.
Okay, but what you need to make sure you do is like try your best.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you know you've done your best. What
Yeah,
else
I
can
say
you
like,
expect?
or I say like, fail to prepare, then
Yeah.
prepare to fail. So you've
And
got to
another,
make sure.
like, one advice I'd give before you go into like the final GCSE, or even like when you're doing the mocks, is make sure you prepare yourself 10 minutes before you go in. If you know there's 10 minutes left, don't try just rushing through your notes or anything. Just relax, drink some water, get your stuff out,
Get your
and
head
make
in
sure
the
you
right
have
place.
everything.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many people used to show up and then, oh, I forgot my ruler, this, and then you're panicking.
Yeah.
And then it just ruins the whole kind of exam.
And I think I just want to like brush over like external pressure. Obviously, you've got parents, you've got teachers, you've got other friends around you who are doing.
And for A-level
good
students,
as well.
universities.
Yeah, universities. So I feel like in terms of that, like you've just got to like it's your life at the end of the day. You've got to like you control your life. You can do as well as you want in life. You can do as bad as you want in life. So at the end of the day, you've got to just know where you are, know your ability, and just try your best at the end of the day. And kind of like, obviously, you've got to take that pressure. It can be used as a good way. Like it's good.
Yeah.
Like people like thrive under pressure. A lot of people. So like I'm not going to say like just try and like get rid of all that pressure, because pressure to an extent is good because it means you care about something. But
and it's never going to be an easy road, is it? There's always going to be ups and downs. Yes, you might mess up on one exam, or you might not get the GCSE result that you want, but that might have happened for a reason. You never know.
And I think at the end of the day, like people just have to remember that whatever grade you get, whatever like number, whatever letter you get, like people will still be proud of you. Like don't forget that. Like don't feel like because you didn't do well, you let people down, because at the end of the day,
some of the most famous people and the smartest people, they've failed stuff. They've always had failures.
Everyone fails stuff in life, but it's just how you come back after that failure.
It's how you respond to it, really.
Yeah, so I think that's it for that one.
Okay, so the next one is, what should I do when I'm feeling overwhelmed with work in terms of revision for exams?
Yeah, I think yes, like in a similar way to what you were saying before, like exercise is a way that I found like really good.
That's how I felt as well.
Because it's like a really good way to clear your head. It gets you thinking of like another like external thing. It takes you away from that like that reality of exams. So.
Yeah, and I think spending time with like your family and your friends, like I think that's important too, because it'll get your brain off. Basically, you need to do something to get your mind off like the studying and revision you've done. Obviously, not to an extent where you forget everything that you've done, but where you feel relaxed, and then your mind is like open, and you can go back and start studying again.
Yeah. So I think to summarize, like if you're feeling overwhelmed, just take a break. But don't obviously take a break forever.
Yeah.
But obviously just take a break to the point where you feel like you're ready to go and revise again. So yeah, I think that's good for that.
Alright, so the next one is, what exam techniques do you suggest for revision?
Okay.
Exam
techniques.
I think I mentioned mine at the start, as in like rewriting the notes over and over again, summarizing it more and more, so that, because I remember for my English language, I created acronyms, and that was kind of what helped me get the grade I got.
Yeah.
It was just like I just summarized it, so that it's just literally one word I need to remember, and that's how I remember the point.
And in terms of like exam techniques, like when you're in the exam, like the number one thing I would say to you is like just calm down, because obviously it's a lot to take in when you get in. You open the first page, and a lot of the time, like we've had it before.
Panic.
Like a lot of the time, you see the first question, your mind goes blank. You don't have to do it. So like in those situations, you can't panic. You just have to. Like a lot of the time, I just like to move on and just focus on the questions that I do know. And a lot of the time,
as soon as you don't know something, just move on.
Yeah, and a lot of time it does come back to you. So don't fear when you see a question that you don't know. Just
the worst thing you can do is like just hover over one question for like 10 minutes, and you still don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And then when that 10 minutes could have been used to answer, like for example in business A-level, a 20 marker, and then get those extra 20 marks. But
yeah, and something I would also say is like make sure to do plenty of like exam papers outside of school before you do these exams, and time yourself to the actual timings, because time management is half the reason that a lot of people fail, because it's all right doing like knowing the stuff, but if you can't get the stuff down the paper in the time, then you're not going to get a good grade.
Even if you're at home, just get your like parents like time, because I think when you're doing it yourself, you tend to be a bit more lenient. or even get your parents to mark it or something
Yeah.
if they know how to, like, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
GCSE is quite easy
Yeah,
to mark
yeah.
the questions. But also, if you don't know how long to spend on a certain question,
No.
just ask the teacher, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Roughly spend between like 20, 30
Yeah,
minutes
and a lot
on
of
a
time
question.
also going on that on the papers they do actually give you like a time like allocate or not allocation obviously but time like guidings for
Yeah.
each question. So yeah, just make sure exam papers just get used to doing the exams.
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned like to remain calm in the exam, but how does someone actually do that? How do you actually like remain calm when you enter like such a pressure situation?
Yeah.
I think the most simple thing to do is take deep breaths
Yeah.
and just breathe, because you go in, you start panicking, and then you just like breathing
Yeah.
speeds up, and then it's all that. And then also waters are very important.
Yeah, it
thing
is,
to
yeah.
stay hydrated.
Yeah.
You might think, oh, water, that's for like sports and stuff, stay hydrated, but no, it's for exams as well.
Yeah, I think also just going on from like how you stay calm, like obviously you got the like you go in the room before the exam happens.
Yeah.
Where a lot of that like time in the like room before, like you shouldn't be revising. Like you should, that's the time you should be calming down.
Just talking
You should
to your
be
friends.
shutting up, like shutting your mind away from like other things happening. You should just be calming down, focusing on what you got to do, and just like knowing what, and just trying to remember the stuff, because
just make sure you have everything. Make sure you're prepared.
Yeah,
screwed on everything.
Yeah, preparation is like key. Like you see the students who come in like with like a plastic bag like pencils or whatever, and then you see the students who have like a clear pencil case. They know what they're doing. Like the
and then
labels
there's some
taken off
people
their
with
bottle.
like a pencil and pen in their pocket.
Yeah. And on a lot of the times, even though it's just, it might be a coincidence, but a lot of the time the people who are better prepared do better in the exams. So I think preparation is key. Making sure you're calm before you enter is key. Water.
And I think
is
one
key.
thing we haven't mentioned is you need to eat well as well.
Yeah.
Because you need to make sure you have breakfast before the exam, or if it's lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
You need to make sure cause the last thing you want to do is sat there in the exam. You're thirsty, you're hungry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your mind's going to other places. Your mind's going to completely other places when you're doing that. So
and even simple stuff like wearing a jumper if you're cold.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to be prepared for everything, because
definitely.
you don't want to be shivering in the exam either.
Yeah, definitely. So.
Okay, so the last one is, what do you do the day before an exam?
Okay.
What do I do the day before?
I try to remember. It's quite a while since I've done a proper exam.
One thing I do is look over my notes.
Yeah.
And a bit of last minute revision.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not gonna, or I do like a little past paper.
Yeah.
And just see what I get.
Yeah. You carry on.
But I tend to have an early night, like a nice sleep, and so I'm fresh in the morning. I wake up early, because I rather sleep early, wake up early, than sleep late and then wake up an hour before the exam.
Yeah, I'll just say what I do now. I usually the day before, like I said, like you said, I do a paper of some sort just to refresh my mind and that exam technique. I just look over my notes quickly, like you said again. Make sure you have the food at the right time. You have a good amount of food.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, spend a bit of time away. Have a nice break. Like, put your mind on something you like to do. Like whether that's exercise, whether that's like gaming, for example.
Yeah.
And then obviously get to bed early. That's a key thing. You should have I would recommend before a day of an exam either like 8 or 9 hours, like even because obviously they recommend 7 a day just on normal. But obviously it's a day where you're using your brain.
It's a day you're stressed. Everything. You've been exercising your brain the last week before the exam, so you're gonna be tired.
Yeah,
so it's important to get that sleep.
Yeah. So that sleep, and then just wake up, have a shower, get your mind focused on what you need to do. Yeah, exactly. Just be fresh and just
have a nice breakfast as well.
Yeah, have a nice breakfast. Yeah, we all have a good breakfast.
Yeah. So that was all the questions.
That was all the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I hope that's helped you out if you're taking exams.
And I think if any of you guys do have more questions, just speak to your teachers, because everyone's gone through the exam, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like even you've probably gone through exams at some point, whether it's been like lower stage of your education, but I think everyone's had an exam.
Yeah. And I think the bigger thing to say as well is everyone gets nervous before exams. Everyone gets scared of the worst thing that can happen. But you've got to put your mind on the best thing that can happen. You've got to put your mind on getting the job done, getting prepared. and just being ready,
Exactly.
basically.
Just try your best.
Exactly.
That's all you can.
I think that's the biggest thing. And I think all the parents would say that at home as well. As long as you do your best, you literally can't do any more.
Not everyone's gonna get those top grades.
No, they're not.
But what you can do is get what you're.
Get what you deserve.
Yeah.
Like you like at the end of the day, they do say like you'll get what you deserve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like even though it's a bit of it can work in both ways. Obviously, if you don't put the work in, you won't get the reward. But in the same way, if you put the work in, you'll get the rewards and even more. Obviously, because
but the reward you get is only going to be the reward you deserve.
yeah,
and
exactly.
So it's just important to try your best.
Yeah, so just make sure if you've got any questions, put in the comments, and I hope you all do well. Obviously, big time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We need to hope you do well.
I hope you do well.
I hope we do well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, bigger time for us, bigger time for all year 13s and year 11s. So yeah, good luck everyone.
And in the comments, just let us know what kind of revision stuff you do.
Yeah. Obviously, because that could help other people if you put them in the comments and they see them. So.
Or even if you've got any problems or questions, just
sure. Why not?
pop them in there.
Anything, and we'll hopefully respond to them in the comments.
Hopefully,
as well.
no, we will respond.
We will respond to them. That's the right answer. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See ya.